You can see the title of this today is The Woman That Stays. Um, growing up, growing up, I heard stories of this, and I even saw examples of this a good bit, to be honest, more than you should. It takes a strong person to stay. And as I continue to talk, you'll see what I'm talking about. Infidelity makes you question your purposehood, your self-worth, your sanity. And personally, I have been there in the past in relationships where my partner was unfaithful. I wasn't married, but the person I was with was actually unfaithful. And I don't know if there's a perfect time or a good time to be cheated on, but when it was during the time that I was pregnant. And it's a pain. I have experienced more painful things, but that's in the top three of the most painful things to experience. Infidelity itself, on top of being pregnant, and your partner, the person who you are carrying a child for, is actually being unfaithful to you, and that exposes you to all other types of things, not even just the emotional toll it takes on you, but if that person's out there messing with someone who's not clean, there's the chance you could come back with something from that. I mean, there's all these different things that come with that, but that's a totally different story. But the betrayal, the disbelief, the questioning everything that person has ever said to you, trusting yourself again. And there's actual grief. Yes, grief. There's a grief that comes with infidelity because, to be honest, everything you knew is gone. Everything you thought about that relationship is gone. If you decide to stay, you are starting over again from scratch. It doesn't matter, visually things are the same, like you're in the same house together, things are the same, but emotionally, psychologically, things will never ever be the same. And no matter how hard you work towards it going back, things will never be the same. That relationship as you knew it is completely over. And you know it's one thing to be cheated on, but it's another thing if a child is actually created out of that infidelity. And that's what this video is about today. It is about the woman that stays. Now, don't get me wrong, there are men that, get cheated on and the female gets pregnant and he stays, but that is very far and few between. It is most often women that actually stay after their husband is unfaithful. And so it takes real strength, self-realization, forgiveness, and a daily suppression of your feelings if you decide to stay. It really takes a very strong person to stay after someone's been not only unfaithful but created a whole nother life out of that infidelity. um to know that your hard-earned money is going out of your household into someone else's household to take care of another woman's child, it's a lot. Now, some women sign up for this with polygamy and poly and all that stuff. Some women actually sign up for that, and more power to you if that's what you want. But I'm talking about the women who signed up for monogamy, who signed up and married thinking that they would be the only one until death do them part. I'm talking about those women. All right. um yeah, so to think about, resources leaving your own household for your children, going out of your household to take care of another child in another woman's household, that takes a strong woman. And I've seen women do this. They decide to stay and they just continue to live their lives, but I can imagine what they're going through internally and what they're feeling. To see that child on a constant basis, to see that woman on a constant basis, it takes strength that could only be given to you by the creator. All right. and to treat that child like your own, because children are innocent, and there's never a reason to mistreat a child, even if they were created out of infidelity, because that child has nothing to do with it. They are innocent, innocent little creatures, you know, and they had nothing to do with it. And you should never mistreat a child because of the actions of an adult. All right. So Fences was a good example of, you know, a husband being unfaithful to his wife. And Viola Davis actually played the wife in that movie or that play or whatnot. And she was a very strong, intelligent woman. Her performance, you know, deserved every accolade she could possibly get, because you could feel, you could see, you could imagine the pain that woman felt day in and day out, taking care of her household, taking care of her husband, for him to go out and feel like he deserved to have another woman, and to actually bring that child home for her to raise. Can you imagine that after that betrayal? But then again, like I said, innocent child had nothing to do with it. And the courage and the strength it took for her to say, yes, I will take care of this child, because the child's mother actually died in childbirth. But she said something else very important. She said, you know what? This child lost her mother, and she's not motherless now. She has a mother now in me. But you lost your wife. And that's exactly what I was saying. You know, things you can try to, you know, make it right again, but it'll never be the same. And she made that point very clear when she said, you know what, but you lost your wife. Even though she stayed, she physically stayed, but spiritually, emotionally, sorry about that, my phone went hot. But yeah, Viola Davis's character couldn't even fathom the amount of betrayal that her husband projected onto her by doing something like that. And then he had the nerve to say that he was not even going to stop the affair when she asked him about it. He was like, I deserve this. So can you imagine that? But anyway, another example of this was in the movie Cadillac Records. In Cadillac Records, I forgot her name, but she's married to Dwayne Wade. Her character, Gabrielle Union, her character, her man had an outside child and brought the child home for her to raise. And to add even more insult to injury was the fact that she could not have children. So in a way, I guess that was you know, she got a child because the mother came and dropped the child off at the doorstep. But it's just, you know, just all of that at once. Finding out your spouse or your husband is your partner is unfaithful, and then for them to bring a child home on top of that, and the fact that you can't have any children of your own. I couldn't imagine what she was feeling. But she played that role really well, as you know, in that movie also. But those are just two good examples of, you know, spouses bringing outside children home, and just imagining what those women felt. Hello guys, I wasn't ignoring you, I was just trying to get through my point. But thank you all for joining the live. PB, thank you. Hello. Juan, find somebody better, lady. I'm not speaking about myself, Juan. If you continue to listen a little bit, you would have gotten that. Hello, Official Smokey. Hello. Hi. Was this a ghetto dude you chose? Yes, technically he was a ghetto dude. And to be honest with you, ghetto or not, this is something that people do, men and women. It doesn't matter the class or anything, the amount of money. People are unfaithful, point blank. Stephanie Thompson, hello. Hello, Juan. If you're just going to monologue, why go live? Upload a video. Most lives are monologue. Most lives aren't talking to somebody else. If you don't want to be here, Juan, kudos and peace to you. I don't understand why you would stay somewhere that you're not enjoying the conversation. But anyway, if you have anything productive to add, do so. If not, it was nice having you on the live. But anyway, yeah. So, you know, let's see. Let me get back to my point here. And a lot of people actually get upset with the other person, and I've never found that beneficial. when I saw people doing that. Why would you fight with the other person? You're not in a relationship with that person. You're not in a relationship, you know, with the person your spouse had an affair with. You know, you made a commitment to that person, so all of your anger, your feelings should be, you know, geared towards that person, because your relationship is with that person. Now, it's one thing if that other partner, you know, the outside person actually knew that you were married. That's something totally different, because that's just blatant disregard and disrespect. But even if that's the case, even when it all boils down, you know, you're still only married to that one person, and so that's the person that you have to deal with. But yeah, so to stay with a spouse that manipulated you, that cheated on you, that took your marriage to a place that you can never come back from, that takes some type of person. And like I said, this is geared mostly towards women, because that's what I saw. I saw women whose husbands had outside children on them, and they stayed. I saw the interactions between those women and the children over time, over a 10-year period of time, over a 20-year period of time, and I saw the dynamics of those relationships. Some of those women actually garnered some type of relationship with those children, and some women just dealt with them at an arm's length. You know, some women actually took them into their own house, you know, and actually raised those children like they were their own. And this happened a lot back in the day. Like, sometimes you couldn't even tell whose child was whose. You know, daddy just brought him home, or he had a family down the street and all the kids knew about each other and got along, and that's just what it was. A good example of this was Joe Jackson, Michael Jackson's father. He had children down the street with, you know, and it's just like, okay, you know, but hey, it happens, and I understand that. But again, this is talking about the women that stay. Kudos to you. Continued strength to you. May the Most High be with you. And I hope that nobody else has to go through this, men or women, because it's a hurtful thing. And when I was younger, you know, you have all of these notions, you know, oh, if this happened to me, I would never do, and this is this, and I would never do that. But looking back and looking at it now from the place where I am as an adult, I see why people would stay. I see why men would stay in their marriage. I see why women would stay in their marriage. Because again, at that point, the marriage as you knew it is over. And I'm sure they do whatever they want after that point, and do whatever they have to do to get through it and to remain in that marriage, whether it be them finding an outside person, and outside relationships to cope, or whatever. But a lot of people stay because it takes a lot to dissolve a marriage, especially if you've been together 10, 20, 30 years. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to break up those relationships, to break up the friendships and the bonds you've created. If you have businesses together, it takes a lot to dissolve those. You know, a lot of people stay for the kids. And, you know, like I said, when I was younger, I didn't get it, but now I get it. I get why people would actually stay. I see women that stay after their husbands have been unfaithful to them, and they just go and they get themselves somebody on the side, and they both continue to live happily. The children remain in an intact home, and the outside children get taken care of, and they just continue on with life as usual. But yeah, that was my spiel today, my topic. If you all have anything to add before I leave the live, just let me know right quick. If not, if you're coming on this after the fact, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about people that stay in a relationship after their spouse had a child on them, had an outside child on them. Let me know if you've seen this. Let me know the dynamics of what you see, how the interactions with the children are, how the children are treated, and how those people actually cope with it. All right, so I want to thank you all for watching, and you